Thank you very much. I'll try to wrap it up here, but Senator Lummis had to leave, but she wanted me to ask you a question, Chad, on her behalf. So I'm going to do my best to sort of summarize her point here. She wanted to touch on her legislation, Senate 1066, the Highway Funding Flexibility Act. I think you might have mentioned it. It addresses the practical reality that the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program is fraught with significant implementation challenges, which has left substantial funds unobligated, while states have, of course, high priority. So her question is, from a state transportation management perspective, can you explain how the flexibility to redirect stalled NEVI funds to highway and bridge projects could help deliver more immediate benefits to the public?
Thank you, Chairman Cramer. In North Dakota, as in most states, we have a lot of needs, and needs outweigh the dollars that are available for them. So with the NEVI dollars, with the bill that you referred to, that would give the states ability to spend those dollars on highways and bridges, which gets back to the basics of our system, spending dollars on highways and bridges. That would give us the added flexibility to inject more dollars into our system. So we would be very open to that, rather than those dollars going elsewhere, to have them flow back into the highways and bridges.
Thank you. Okay, let me just wrap up with, I'm going to ask another safety question, but I'm going to ask it of you, Ms. Biddle, and you, Mr. Orrin, and it has to do with worker safety, because one of the things we see, we've talked a lot about how short North Dakota's season is, and in some respects, as much as we don't like to see winter, we do appreciate the fact that the freeway is wide open again. That said, as big a hurry as we are to get a highway maintained or built or fixed, we're also often in too big a hurry to get to wherever our destination is, and don't pay close enough attention to the hazard of workers right on the very highway we're driving on. Maybe you could, if you have any thoughts or suggestions legislatively that we should be looking at for improvement of worker safety. I just know when I see orange, I slow down, and the minimum fine isn't really the factor. It's more the human situation that scares me. But maybe if you have some specific thoughts on how we can improve the legislation to help states with that program, it'd be useful.
No, thank you so much for the question, and it certainly hits close to home for the state of Maryland. Certainly the tragedy that we experienced just last year was the one that I think that garnered a lot of attention nationwide, but unfortunately in March of the year prior, we experienced a crash on the Baltimore Beltway that killed 6 highway construction workers. We had vehicles traveling in excess of 100 miles per hour in a work zone. And to your point, not everyone, unfortunately, has the same reaction to the human factor there. So in the state of Maryland, we previously did have, work zone cameras that did issue tickets, but the maximum ticket, even for a repeat offender, was still $40. And that just wasn't getting anyone's attention. So through working with our state legislature and the support of our governor and lieutenant governor, who chaired a work group on this topic, we implemented legislation through the state of Maryland that introduced a tiered fine structure and also allows us to expand our implementation of work zone cameras. I always say that I hope we don't earn a single dollar through these programs, because it's not about generating revenue, it's about protecting our workers and saving lives. But I would be happy to submit further some of the other components of that legislation for the subcommittee's consideration, things that we've seen that have been beneficial in the state of Maryland. And we do think that we've seen behavioral changes since some of that tiered structure and other technologies have been implemented.
Well, deterrence can be expensive, but not nearly as expensive as not deterring. Mr. Orrin, if you have thoughts on that, I'd welcome them.
Senator, obviously safety is at the utmost importance in everything that we do every day. And a work zones just don't accommodate contractors. Our workers from our departments are also in those same work zones. So it's very near and dear to our heart. The main thing I want to say there is we have a real good relationship with our AGC, our American General Contractors. So we do work with them. And work zone is important, but we don't want to see a bunch of restrictions added to it. We still want flexibility to be able to work with our contractors and our partners on the work zone safety. And if we hear any feedback, we make corrections, we fix it, we listen to them, because we know it's critical with that. A few examples of stuff that we did in North Dakota, as Samantha alluded to, we also just raised our fines within work zones, almost doubled them in the state, and that's gonna go in effect on August 1. The state legislature does that. And another thing we do, and we've been doing for years and years and years, is we provide overtime dollars to our highway patrol, so then that they can patrol the work zones. So if there's contractors or our employees in work zones that feel like they think just the traffic's moving way too fast, things aren't quite right, they make a few phone calls and the highway patrol shows up and they patrol, and we help pay for the overtime for those highway patrolmen to be in those work zones to make sure that the workers are safe.
Excellent. Well, thank you all very much for your testimony. It was a very valuable hearing and appreciate your contributions to that. With no further questions, I want to thank the witnesses, all my colleagues. Many more participated than I actually thought were going to, so I'm grateful for their participation. Senators who wish to submit written questions for the record have until 5 p.m. Wednesday, August 6th to do so. Witnesses' responses to those questions are due back to the committee no later than 5 o'clock on Wednesday, August 20th, and will be submitted for the record. That would be 5 o'clock p.m. Not everybody gets up at 4:30 like I do. With that, this hearing is adjourned.